I wanted you to weigh in on the attacks and then just kind of get some insight into what they're telling you, members of Congress today, from the FBI, from the ATF. Are you getting briefed? And what the heck are they telling you? Because it seemed like their messaging over the last day or so on these two things has not been that great.
Okay. Well, Happy New Year to you, Dan, and everyone watching at home. And of course, we're continuing to pray for the victims and their families. What a horrific start to the new year, and a complete shock for our entire nation. So that was a rough start. Yes, I serve on the Homeland Security Committee, and we had a briefing call with the FBI earlier today where they were giving us information and we were able to ask questions. One of the questions that I asked is, was Jabbar, the man that is responsible for the horrific attack on New Orleans, was he on their radar in any way? Was he someone that they had been watching or knew about? And the answer is they had no intel on him whatsoever.
Wow.
Unfortunately, and what's very scary is the reality of the situation with him is he is the real sleeper cell. He's the sleeper cell that all of us have been warned about for years.
Yep.
They didn't know about him until the attack, and he did not go public about his allegiance to ISIS until just a few hours before the attack. He went on his own social media and pledged his allegiance to ISIS. Now, the investigation with Jabbar, they're a little further down the road on him, and they're moving quickly to find out everything they can about the other man that was in the explosion in the Cybertruck or caused the explosion. There's still a lot of details they're trying to figure out there, but there's a lot of things that line up between the two, and so it's hard from any common sense perspective to say they're not related, given that they both rented those trucks on an app that none of us had ever heard of until yesterday. They both served at the same Army base, Fort Bragg, around the exact same time. And also they carried out these attacks on the same day.
Right.
And they both were Biden Democrats.
And on New Year's Eve, before these horrific incidences, President Trump had tweeted out calling on the Senate Republicans saying, hey, let's go get your act together, get my folks confirmed. Then these attacks happen. Mike goes on national TV and says, we got to get them in. I would say with 18 days to go, and the way that this regime has run things over the last 4 years, this is dire straits here, Marjorie.
Yeah, it's absolutely critical, especially given that we don't know if there could be more terrorist attacks coming. And that's what they have warned America for years, saying that they would do this in our country. But we have to get them those nominations across the line in the Senate. And I feel like Senate Republicans will cooperate. Everyone knows how important this is, and everyone knows that America's safety hangs in the balance. But I heard today that President Biden spoke at his press conference and warned Iran that he would launch an attack on Iran within the next 18 days if they ramp up their nuclear program. But yet, Dan, we have to call President Biden and his administration out really hard on that, because 2 days after his election, he released $10 billion to go to Iran coming from Iraq. And he did that for 2 days after the election. So it's really President Biden and his administration that has equipped Iran with $10 billion to be able to launch their nuclear program. And yet they're talking about dragging us into a war in Iran with President Trump literally going to be inaugurated 18 days from now.